Alright guys, it is time to get these dual sport tires back off of here and install the cheater tires. I'm going to be running the 525. Super excited to test out these tires. I'm only ridden the Shinko 505 before, so we're also going to be installing the front and rear rotor guard while we're doing this. So let's get right into it and get some stuff done. Man, this thing is meaty. Today we're going to be trying out this motorcycle tire stand. I'm excited because I think it's going to make it a lot easier. So this top ring is actually for if you have a smaller diameter tire. I think the thing that I'm most looking forward to is just being off of the ground, man. My knees hurt really bad when I do this for, you know, an hour or so, and just getting it off the ground alone is a huge step for me. And this is at, like, you know, working height while standing, rather than, I know some people use 5-gallon buckets and something like that. Boom. And we are going to reuse this too because it is pretty new. And without any damage to the bead, this tire can be reused in the future. This thing is like almost as wide as a Supermoto tire. It's nuts. So we're going to try this a little bit different this time. And this is how I've seen the pros do it, but I've never personally tried it this way. We're going to blow it up just a little bit. Going to use a small hand pump here to get a little bit of air started. And I'm just going to go ahead and lubricate the bead. Now I'm going to bring this down and I'm going to use my weight to get this valve stem pushed in. And make sure your rim lock's pushed back. You want to get the rim lock in. It's real easy to do this on the KTMs. Just enough to where you can get the nut started on the valve stem. Boom! So I had the basic concept down right. Just need to work on it quite a bit. But you get the point. We should be smooth sailing from here. Now we just gotta pray that I didn't pinch a tube. Oh! Other than a few fresh marks on the wheel, which I always like, looks pretty good. Now it's time to install the rear Enduro Engineering rotor guard. Now this is actually going to replace this whole caliper bracket down here, which is pretty neat, but we're gonna need to separate the two and actually just take that whole thing off of there. This bottom bracket's just seated in there with a couple pins. So just pull that out. 11 millimeter? You gotta be kidding me. Leave it to KTM. So you gotta take this bottom pin off, pop that rubber seal off, get some Loctite. Now it's getting kind of hard to see here, but I'm just threading that in there. That's nice and tight. Now make sure that boot is seated all the way. You should probably clean it, but you know, that slides in there. Squirt them together. So let's put this back on. Heck yeah. Oh, get this fat meaty tire up in here. Oh yeah, we've done it. Heck yeah. thing's about to fall off the stand. That would be sweet. All right, front tire, you are up. Stay, KTM. She don't want to stay. She better stay. Now let's see how this front rotor guard works. Definitely feeling a little bit better, because if I would have done that even yesterday, man. Whew. So this bottom guy has to go. That guy's going on there. That one is a lot more simple to install than the rear. Heck yeah, I'm stoked on that. Let's get this tire changed.
It's a rich thing.
Well, today is the day that I was supposed to be headed out west to Colorado to do some riding. Whether we head out west or not, I am super excited to show you guys what I have to my right. It's something that ever since I've seen, I've always wanted one, and regardless of what I decide to do today, this is gonna provide a lot of benefit to the KTM. So let's go ahead and show you what's in this box right here. We have a throttle cable right here, and a tool. I think you know where this is going. Woo! There she is, folks. We got LECTRON. Man, you just can't not appreciate that clear float bowl. That thing is awesome. I'm excited to see how this thing works right out of the box. So if you're wondering why I wanted to get my hands on one of these specifically for Colorado, that is because the jetting issues that I was going to face. Now, jetting a carburetor is fairly easy. I've done it before, but there is an art and trial and error to get things right and get it running for proper altitude. But here's the thing, when you're out in the mountains, you're going through drastic changes in elevation in a short period of time. So your bike isn't gonna run optimally. Now, of course, you can mess with the air screw and the idle speed on your way up the mountain, down, but at the end of the day, it can kind of be a hassle, and especially with the newer KTMs that come with the Mikuni Carb. Not the best carburetor. There are some ways to get it tuned right, don't get me wrong. Personally, I haven't had huge issues with it. It's a little boggy sometimes. It gets loaded up a lot, especially on a cold start. But overall, the LECTRON just offers a lot of benefits. And the biggest benefit is that it doesn't have any jets in it, so you don't have to mess with jetting. Now, I'm not Bill Nye, so I'm not gonna get into the specifics on how this works, but basically, the tapered bore funnels air in, increasing the speed, and it creates lift in the fuel that is behind what is called a metering rod. Now, the metering rod is flat, not like in a traditional carburetor where you have the round needle that you have to adjust the clip height on. You can adjust the metering rod, and LECTRON also provides this little tool, and you're able to richen or lean out the mixture that way. A lot of people say these things are good right out of the box, so I'm curious to see how it's gonna run here, and if I decide to go out west, if I will have to do anything. Easy to tune, arguably better throttle response, and overall a better running bike in most situations. And in the future, we can go back and forth to run some tests and see if I can really notice a difference between the two. But there is a specific install video already out there if you want to skip to that, but I'm gonna do my own take on that. I believe the other one was done by Slavens Racing, and they're far more knowledgeable than me, but we're basically gonna be doing the same thing. Now we are gonna have to take the seat and tank off to access everything, so let's go ahead and knock that out. Make sure your fuel is off. Go ahead and disconnect the fuel line. Oh, get some fuel in your mouth. It's always good. Drain gas everywhere. It's good to clean stuff. Ah! We have access. Now KTM decided to make this boot out of a hard plastic for these newer models, so you do want to go ahead and loosen these two subframe bolts so you can swing this thing up and pull this air boot back off of it. Don't even try to get this thing out of here without doing that. Now you do need to loosen these two exhaust bolts, but I'm actually going to be replacing my entire exhaust with the FMF Turbine Core 2 that has the spark arrestor. So I'm going to take these completely off. Bada bing. Now lift up on the subframe and it should pull this boot right off the carb. And we are free. Goodbye, Mikuni. I am going to have to take this hand guard to get access to the throttle tube. Boom. I'm gonna go ahead and pop this cam off of here. And this cam's going on. Cam D. Now you can route the throttle cable differently if you'd like to, but I'm just gonna follow the stock routing. See you later, Mikuni. It's nice knowing you. Not really. So now it is gonna be time to install this domino throttle assembly. Got these two 8mm on the bottom here, they're already loose. It's nice that they do include the extra cam so you can reuse the lock-on grips, because I really like these lock-on grips. You can find them for nearly the same price as regular grips, and it's just so nice knowing that they're not ever gonna rotate on you. You don't have to wire tie them, glue them. It's just a lot cleaner. And I thought I would be anti because they're like $4 to $5 more expensive than nice quality grips, but you know what? It's worth the investment for me. And it does look like I'm gonna have to move my controls over a hair. And this little guy sits in here. Boom. I think that's money right there. Phillips, not too fond of that. But. So this is the way that you want your cam oriented. Basically the top of that notch right there is gonna go straight up into this slide. All right guys, now that this is done, we're gonna move on to installing the carburetor. Go ahead and crack the top on this LECTRON. Man, I'm getting excited, and this really isn't that big of a job. Just a few basic tools and less than an hour of your time if you're not filming. Now the reason why you want to do the throttle tube first is so when you're installing the throttle cable on this side, you have tension on the spring so it doesn't get bunched up in the slide. Through here like such. You're just gonna want to push this spring up, hold it with your thumb, put the cable into place, let the spring go, boom, you have tension. Now you can drop that slide back into the carb and start to thread this thing on. And boom, let's get our drain hoses and vent hoses routed. And now you can kind of work the carb into position here. Make sure you put some Loctite back on your subframe bolts. And you just want to make sure that your carb is sitting as vertical as possible, so you can take a look from the back here. Get the tank back on here. Now make sure that you retighten these boots. Don't want any vacuum leaks. And now for the most satisfying part of all. Woo! Watch that float bowl fill up. Stopped right at the fill line. All right, let's get that FMF exhaust on there. And we are ready to fire this thing up for the first time, man. I'm pumped.
Storm's getting me pumped up, man.
All right, guys, I turned the gas on. It is time to fire this thing up for the first time. Now, I've never heard this bike with this FMF pipe, so it's definitely gonna sound different, but I needed this to ride on the state trails, so I wanted to get that put on. Flip the choke up. Easier said than done. That's one benefit of the Smart Carb over the Electron. All we should need to do is hit that magical button up here, and we should be greeted with a very pleasant sound. So, here we go, guys. First start off, I'm kind of nervous. Man, does that thing sound good, but it is significantly louder. Not a fan of that. I like the quiet aspect of the stock exhaust, but you know what? It is what it is. But yeah, man, this thing fired right up. I'm curious to see how it's gonna run once it's warmed up. We're gonna have to adjust the idle a little bit. But yeah, I don't have much to report now. Fired up, no leaks, and we'll see what happens.